Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I am the Sovereign, and this is my court. If this is your first time in attendance, please consider hitting the subscribe button before you leave our kingdom. So I was going to get up and, go start editing because there's so much drama and tea and whatnot that I need to talk about, spilled dish. I want to do live streams. There's so much I want to talk about. But in the midst of me attempting to stand up from here, I realized that Miss Grand International almost got away with it. They almost went unmentioned by me, but you're going to get the crowd of shade today too, Miss Grand International. Now, once again, I don't want Nawat to be mad at me. However, he wants to get mad at me because I know he gets a little petty. If you want to get mad at me, Nawat, fine, I'll live. I'll just find a way to live, right? But I happen to really like Miss Grand International. I know a lot of you fans have things held against them, and I'm starting to really understand why. But as much as I seem like I'm a feisty girl, I really don't like having beef with anybody. Truly, I don't. But Miss Grand International, you kind of hurt my feelings. I'm a little bit disappointed in you. And because my job as a YouTuber is to run my mouth, I'm going to sit here and do my job. So if you didn't know, Miss Grand International went through the lengths of pairing all of the ladies with partners for their stay during the competition, right? They always have roommates. Everybody gets to have a roommate. It's really great, right? Super exciting. So I'm over here looking at the list of people being put together for, roommates for Miss Grand International. And I came across this. And I'm thinking, oh, this is a joke. This is funny. Ha ha ha. One of my, petty little pageant fans is making a joke. It's like, haha, Russia and Ukraine roommates. Nope, not a joke. This is not a joke. It is not a joke. And I was so upset. I found out about this when I was at my temporary job because I do have other jobs, which, I can do every now and then. And I like being around kids and stuff. So I do other things. And I'm not going to be working as much, clearly, because I'm missing out on a lot. And luckily, I can control my own schedule. So don't expect me to be disappearing again anytime soon because that is over and I'm back in residence. But I'm at work fuming, Miss Grand International. And maybe this was an oversight. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking, but we're going to talk about it because I almost went into the bathroom at work to make an Instagram response to this because I was so livid. And I was so livid that the moment I got in my car to leave work, I was holding my phone and making freaking Instagram videos, stories because of it. The reason this really, first of all, for those of you who are just living under a rock and don't understand why I would be upset, Russia and Ukraine are currently at war. Russia invaded Ukraine months ago. I did a whole video on it. How did you miss that? It's over here. But Russia invaded Ukraine and now they're annexing parts of Ukraine, basically claiming Ukrainian territory as their own. Ukrainians are losing their lives. Their friends, their families, their homes, their land, their country. The current competitor for Miss Ukraine going to Miss Grand International, it's difficult for her to even leave the country. And even her being able to leave, she's not going to have any support at the competition because Ukraine is currently going through so much crap. No one has the time to be able to go to a pageant in another part of the world while their country is under siege. This is a very serious, real thing for the Ukrainian people. Now, the reason I'm getting real upset is because I did a live stream about Miss Grand International, linked up above. I did a live stream about Miss Grand International because their pageant is supposedly advocating for world peace. It's an anti-war making advocacy. They have done for several years this sort of speech that all the women give about war and how they are supposed to be advocates for world peace and bringing peace to different countries and the importance of peace and how to facilitate peace between warring nations. This has been the purpose, advocacy, and tagline of Miss Grand International. But when the discord and the military action popped off between Russia and Ukraine, FIFA hopped on it, the Olympics hopped on it, hell, Miss Supranational popped off on it. Miss Grand International, whose purpose in the pageantry world is to speak out against war, had nothing to say. And I, being the naive pageant fan that I clearly am, who believed in them, was highly disappointed that this pageant, who has gone on the spiel and has been ranting and raving about peacemaking, suddenly was so silent in the face of such clear wrongdoing. Russia's over there committing war crimes. Miss Grand International was over there posting bikini photos. And I'm like, what's happening? Because even FIFA got involved. FIFA banned Russia from participating. You know how many sporting events have banned Russia's participation in anything? And yes, I'm saying Russia should be banned because when those girls or anybody goes to any type of competition, they're not representing themselves, they're representing that country. We're not banning you as a person, we're banning that country's representation. Go get citizenship somewhere else. You'll be more than welcome to come in. But Russia's not allowed to be represented anywhere because they can't play nice with other countries, obviously. Miss Grand International did not want to acknowledge what Russia was doing. Didn't speak up on it at all, which I found a little bit two-faced. Because I'm like, if this is going to be your advocacy, use your voice. As we all say in pageantry, we want to empower women. We want women to use their voice. And then Miss Grand International's over there silent, as they have been for several months. And then I see this whole roommate scenario. Apparently, Miss Grand International thinks that they are the United Nations and everything is going to be solved by putting Russia and Ukraine in the same room. These two women together are going to be peacemaking ambassadors and end the war tomorrow because they're roommates. This is seemingly to trivialize the importance or magnitude of what is happening between these two countries. What did you think was going to be accomplished by putting Russia and Ukraine in the same room? The Ukrainian queen has struggled to get to this competition. And you gonna put her next to Russia? The reason she struggled to get here, and people are gonna be like, well, it's not the woman herself. Do you know the name of the woman representing Russia? Anybody? I'm gonna say most of you don't. That's because you know her as Russia. Not her name, not a person. She is a representative icon of a country. Same as Ukraine. Why the hell would you think it would be okay to put them in the same room as roommates? Do you know what being a roommate in a pageant world means? Like, you become besties with that girl. You guys go to sleep at the same time. You share meals together. You're trading clothes, helping each other get dressed. Like, it's a very intimate thing. You put a Ukrainian woman in a room with a Russian woman who likely supports her country's actions against her roommate. Miss Ukraine likely has faced some sort of difficulty because of the invasion brought on by Russia. She has been personally impacted by the Russian government, and you're going to put her in a room with a person who supports the actions that have severely impacted negatively her personal life. What were you thinking? What were you thinking? You weren't thinking. And that's one of the more insulting things about this, is that you did not consider the competitors at all. It's incredibly disrespectful to this woman to not take into account the life she is being forced to live, and to trivialize it to the point where you think it's okay to put her next to someone who supports the actions that have hurt her personally. I couldn't believe it. I could not. I was astounded. Miss Grand International. I like Miss Grand International. I'm one of your fans, Miss Grand International. Why would you do this to me? I'm taking this personally. I'm disappointed. Why would you do this? My mom loves you. Every year, you guys know, since I've been doing it with my mom since 2020, she's been watching Miss Grand International because they bring like the performance, they bring the showmanship. There's some extra show-offy, people. Like, I love that. I love the extraness of Miss Grand International. Yes, you could do better with your advocacy, but I've been still here to support you. But this was a whole nother level. I expect a bit more professionalism from a pageant that gets so pissed off when you're not considered one of the top 5 in the bunch. This is why the fan base can't respect you. This is such a major oversight that you just glossed over as if it was nothing. And not only was it this pairing, you have other countries paired with people they probably shouldn't be, in order to, the fan base thinks, to start controversy. They're thinking you're starting it to be messy and to get the ire and attention of the fan base. The thing is, you don't want negative attention. Especially MGI. Have I been saying IMG or MGI? Miss Grand International, because I always mess up IMG and MGI. Can y'all pick some new letters? Pick a different letter. Pick a K. Somebody pick a K. I don't know what it's going to represent, but use a K. Miss Grand International. If you're going to be a Big 5 pageant, which you so desperately want, you can't be this irresponsible or disrespectful. What did you think was going to happen putting together these people? They're not peacekeeping ambassadors. You thought they're going to sit there and work through their personal problems? It's governmental issues. What you should be supporting is these women speaking out against their government's poor actions. If you wanted to pressure somebody into doing something, go pressure Miss Russia into speaking out against war which is what her advocacy is supposed to be, right? Her country is currently committing something that is against the advocacy of Miss Grand International. But you guys let her come to the pageant, right? You let her come. So at the very least, I would expect then that Miss Russia would have something to say against military actions on another country, because we are a peacekeeping pageant, right? Of all the pageants, this would be the one pageant where you wouldn't want Russia's representation, because it's directly against what your advocacy supposedly is. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. Because Miss Grand International has clearly been trying to toe the fence, right? They're trying to they don't want to commit to any one side of anything. And that's what makes you spineless. I will say that to anybody. And we say this to girls all the time when they're on the stage and they don't want to commit to an answer, you're being spineless. You're being weak because you do not want to seemingly take a side or show your true feelings about something in fear of what other people will think of you. And that is spineless. That is weak. I personally will sit up here and say whatever the hell I want, regardless if people want to hate me about it or not. At least I have the conviction and know myself enough, and I'm sure in myself enough to say how I feel and then stand by that. And I demand the same of pageant queens, which is why I get upset when they act so weak or pretend to care about something, but that they don't put their words or their self behind it. And I'm like, sis, you want my respect as a pageant fan, but you're not even showing up as an actual queen. What's up? What's good? Miss Grand International, if you want to be one of the big pageants, you got to show a little conviction. You guys should have either not had Russia be there in the first place or had her stand up against military action, because that's your advocacy. And I don't understand why you guys are so about pissing off Russia. What do you care? It's not a pageant nation, but even still, if you want to take some serious action, then do it seriously. Don't try to placate the fan base, because we're going to call BS on you, because we can tell when you're being two-faced. This was such a disappointing decision on many levels, because like I said, there are other pairings that are questionable, and you put these girls in very awkward positions where they're not even going to be able to enjoy themselves. They're not going to be able to focus. You put them in awkward positions with people that they don't agree with. You basically put some of these girls in rooms with their bully. How are you going to put people in the room with their bully where they feel like they have to watch their back, where they feel like they have nothing in common with their roommate? They don't have much to talk about. Everything's going to be weird and awkward and non-enjoyable. Why would you do this? Yes, the Ukrainian queen did have something to say about this. Applause. Applause to you, sis. She spoke out for herself, as she should. And I know a lot of girls are afraid. They're very afraid to speak up for themselves because they think it's going to impact their placement in the pageant. And I'm very proud of her for speaking up for herself. Don't let people put you in places you do not want to be. And her organization stood by her. Her organization had her back. The Russian queen also had something to say, something around the bouts of she was very excited to meet her roommate, very excited to just get to know her. And that kind of just shows the disconnect between the two mentalities of the women. One woman sees this as not a very big deal. The other woman is incredibly disturbed by it. That just shows you the contrast and their mentalities right there. That just really shows you the mindset of Miss Russia, and the fact that she's not really going to be able to understand or cope with the mindset of Miss Ukraine, because she doesn't take it as serious as she does. Miss Grand Russia has said nothing about the actions of Russia or the Ukrainian ongoing war, military action, whatever. She'd had nothing to say. She doesn't acknowledge it, hasn't spoken about it, nothing at all. How you expect this woman who seemingly doesn't care to room with a woman who desperately does? I feel bad for her, and yet I'm incredibly proud of Miss Grand Ukraine for speaking up for herself. And apparently she is no longer going to be rooming with Russia. So I don't want everybody in the comment section being like, oh my God, let's go after MGI. It's already been settled. She is not rooming with Russia, but I just felt like this was a good opportunity to really discuss the two-facedness sometimes that can happen from pageant queens and their organizations. You guys seemingly want to act like you're an advocate for something, but not really put any force into it except for doing performative stuff like this. This was incredibly performative and ill-advised. Miss Grand International, I want you to know I like you. I do. And I know there's some fans that are going to side-eye me for liking you. But I would very much appreciate you not ruining that for me or my mother, because you are her favorite pageant. I like the showmanship. I like the performance capability. I like the competitors that you bring. I like the extraness. I like it. I would just like a little bit more responsibility, a little more truth to your advocacy, just, a little bit more. You guys put extra into everything that you do. How about putting that same extra sauce on the important parts of pageantry as well? That would be really nice, especially if you are looking to become a Big Five pageant. You're looking to be a rival to the Miss Universe and even Miss Earths of the world. You're going to have to be a little bit more serious about your advocacy in order for the fan base to take you seriously. I like Miss Grand. Don't ruin it for me. Please just do a little better. In the comment section below, let me know what you think about this little nonsense that Miss Grand International cooked up amongst the competitors. What do you think about their lack of vocality when it comes to the Russia-Ukrainian war, the ongoing situation? What do you think about their advocacy and their seeming lack of representation, or vice versa? Do you believe that Miss Grand has been perfect in their actions and representing their advocacy? We accept people of differing opinions, but please explain it logically. Maybe you'll teach me something. I'm open and willing to learn. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and remember, I love you and I will miss you, but I will be back in a future video. Bye!